This is the Joseph Evaldi Podcast. I'm going to pause real quick. I had to make myself some coffee, put some sugar in it, and start doing a podcast here. But this is most memorable moments for the podcast. And I'm going to count down 5 to 1. Even though 4 of them I have episodes on which ones that I liked and everything. But first one is basically the first season. Or that's number 5. The first season, because everything that I did in the first season had a special meaning to me, and I guess it's my first season. I didn't know much about podcasting, and I didn't know much about the venue, and I took up the podcasting microphone and went on air with Spreaker. And that was 9 years ago. Now we're on the Radio King network. We'll be podcasting here, but it's a transition like anything. It's like when you're a wrestler and you have runs. But this was the very first season, and we enjoyed what we did. I enjoyed what I did, and it was just me steering the ship, and I took it in the field of business because that's where my head was at. Since then, I guess I do these things, like podcasting is like going on the camera again, so the camera or microphone or whatever, it's a different medium. So back then, I was green. I didn't know what I was doing. I scripted everything and went on from there. So, yeah. I mean, I remember things had to be perfect. Things had to be great. I couldn't just do impromptu, like everything was script and much, much more. So if you hear in the background that's not a bird chirping. Why would a bird chirp like that? It's a dog barking, and that's my next door neighbor dog. And I guess he likes to add his 2 cents in once in a while. But the first season always had meaning. And it was important to me. I mean, even if I was talking about whatever, but which led me to number 4, which was my very first interview with the Joseph Evaldi Podcast before it became the Joseph Evaldi Podcast. I guess I didn't name it that because I felt I didn't have much of a name, but as it grew and I adopted the name and I owned up, and I'm glad I did. But number 4 was the interview with Sonny Lee. When I interviewed Sonny Lee on sales and business, it was like one of those things that, it was like touching greatness to the podcast with the very first guest. And I won't forget that. He shed light on sales, business, and he basically said, do unto others as you like done unto yourself. And it's how you treat others. He said, in his words, treat others like you like to be treated yourself. And, he adopted that, and he did very well in the heyday of JCPenney. I had the privilege of working with him, and his name became synonymous with suits. When you knew, when you entered the store and you saw the suits and you saw Sonny Lee, he was gonna make you look good going into whatever occasion it was going to be back then, because back in the day it wasn't business casual. I mean, you had to show up to suits with occasions, and he knew how to do it. I mean, I remember I worked there. Maybe I wasn't happy with some things that happened, but that's work. But I mean, I worked with very good people. They molded me. They taught me a lot through the years. Like, I learned from a very good supervisor who taught me the fundamentals of whatever I know right now. So it was very good. One of my old Joe Vexter podcasts on the network is popping up and letting me know what's going on. I don't know. It just went off. But I remember working at JCPenney, and they taught me, and my supervisor taught me well through hard work. And then they put a lot of pressure on me to get the boxes off the floor, and it helped me very much. So I'm going to try to pause for a second. Well, I was asked by my mom if I wanted pizza, so I had to find out if I wanted pizza. So there you go. But I remember when I worked in Penny's, or with a good supervisor, they put a lot of pressure on me in that period. But I guess they knew I could do the best, and expected me to do the best, because when I was Joe Macho, I was doing whatever I needed to do to work hard and get the fixtures out and unload the trucks and do whatever needed to be done to take care of it. I worked really hard doing whatever I was doing. So, I learned a lot from sales from Sonny Lee, and he was the man then. So, I'll move on to number 3. Or I'll pause there. I'll stop this podcast, and I'll do number 3 and number 4 next episode. Or 3 and 2, I should say. Have a good day. This is the Joseph Evaldi Podcast.